Hello and welcome to the Investing Bros. I am Tshroom, and we are going to be answering the question, are you too bullish? Can you be too bullish? Is it possible to be too bullish on Bitcoin? I'm going to give my opinion, and we're going to get into some very bullish stories. Would you ever have guessed? We're going to do all that on the other side of taking a moment for those who have fallen. Today is Memorial Day here in the United States of America. This is the day where we honor the fallen soldiers. And I will just for a minute kind of give a little bit of my kind of view on this holiday. You know, I was in the military very, very shortly. I wasn't in very, very long, but I was in officer candidate school. I was applying and attempting to become an officer in the U.S. Army. And what I learned there, I learned a lot of different things. But what I learned is that it is extremely difficult, if not impossible, to overstate how important those who have sacrificed their lives for America is. It is extremely difficult to overstate that. I went into the Army, thinking I was fairly patriotic, thinking that I was, the grandson of a lieutenant colonel, thinking that I was all of these things, thinking I knew what it was like maybe to be a soldier and things like that. I did not. I did not at all. What these men and women do, they wake up every day, and what they do out on the battlefield, and what they know could happen to them, and as a result could happen to their families. They pass away as sacrificing for their country. It's something that civilizations have done for, a long time, defending their homeland. But in America, we absolutely have to reject this idea that soldiers are bad or that the army is bad and these things. Is it perfect? It's not perfect, right? But the individual men and women that serve are making a sacrifice that is incomprehensibly difficult to make and good for you if you live or benefit from the United States existing. So, we take a moment just and it's not really a celebration, it's more of a remembrance, is how we remember the veteran Memorial Day, how we remember, the fallen. It's actually not much of a celebration of veterans as much as it is a memorial to the fallen. So that's it. That's all we'll talk about here. I see Big Army Piper in the chat saying, "Yo, bro." So Army Piper, a fellow member of the Army there. Obviously, he has spent a lot more time in the Army than I have and, accomplished a lot more. But you all did not tune in to hear about the Army and these things. But it is Memorial Day here in the United States, so we just wanted to take a minute to kind of remember the fallen. And guys, look, it's super important. And there's a lot of politics, there's a lot of conspiracy, there's a lot of intrigue that goes into the Army, into all of these things. You just, on days like this, you have to set all that aside and just remember that it's people just like you and me that wake up, they get out of their bed, and they go do hard stuff. That's way harder than my life is now. And, more than likely, you don't have the possibility of having to go risk your life on a battlefield or in a boat, in a giant naval ship or something like this, or in an airplane. And this won't be the end. We're going to be talking a little bit more about the military. That'll come up later in the show. But Army Piper said 22.5 years of service is what he gave to the Army. So thank you so much, Army Piper, for sure. Now, Army Piper is not fallen, so we're technically not remembering him in the Memorial Day, but absolutely. Anybody who's watching who's a veteran, give a shout out. There's nothing wrong with that. Let us know how long you served, and we'll recognize you as well. But today is for the fallen, is what my understanding of Memorial Day is. So love it, absolutely. We're going to keep moving here, but thank you all for sharing this moment with me on the Investing Bros. We're going to go ahead and move on into the crypto. The crypto of it all is looking interesting. There definitely seems to be kind of a slowdown in excitement, but there is definitely some green on the screen today. We got Dogwoof Hat up 7.6%, Yasmi up 13.8%. Some might call that Jasmy. Floki up 20%, so Floki far and away leading the pack today. Not exactly sure what's going on with that, although meme coins did get a pump as a result of something we'll cover here in just a few minutes. Pepe up 4.5. Nothing else really to note too much. Pendle up 2.8, and then Core down 8%. So we're seeing some movement, but as I said, I think most folks in the United States are celebrating Memorial Day, remembering the fallen. So they're probably not doing a whole lot of trading here in the U.S., but you do have the rest of the world that is going to be putting in some volume. So just something to consider if you're thinking of day trading today. That a lot of American participants may not be all that interested in getting behind the terminal. They'd much rather get on a boat and go fishing. That's something to consider. All right, so let's go ahead and jump on to the Bitcoin charts here. I've got a pretty close to symmetrical pennant here drawn out. This one going all the way back to May 16th. Now this one is looking like it's going to break to the upside. We've seen again and again, we had a very big descending wedge back here. Going back further than this, but this must kind of started to form in March. But this descending wedge here that eventually went ahead and broke out bullish. Man, those are some of the worst lines I think I've ever drawn. But you had this downtrending line of resistance here, and this baby went ahead and broke bullish. And that's the story of how we got to where we are today, right? We've seen a nice pop, all of this pressure. There was a lot of bullish pressure kind of building here. And then, if I'm not mistaken, it was the positive CPI print, right? It was a pretty big beat for CPI that really launched Bitcoin higher. And now we are here, and we're in yet another symmetrical pennant that looks to be forming up. Lazarus hand throwing up the Tshroom emojis. You gotta love it. Smash the like buttons, bros, if you haven't already. It really means a lot for you to smash the like. Helps us get the word out for sure. Jumping down into a lower time frame here. Let's look at Bitcoin on the 4-hour. We're just basically tracking the price action over the weekend. The midline of the Bollinger Band didn't seem to be a huge issue for the 4-hour. And volume. This is the big one here, guys. But volume, basically since May 24th, right, has really just dropped off. If you look, there was good volume back here to get price up to, testing these highs up here at 71, close to 72. Didn't get there though. And then when we got up here, volume maintained. But now we're back to these levels here that we saw throughout this phase of just sideways movement. So we're back to waiting on a bullish catalyst, folks. And that brings me to the economics chart here, the tradingeconomics.com calendar, to see when is the next time that whales, that big money will be making moves based on economic data prints pursuant to the U.S. economy. Well, the best answer to that question is the GDP print. But I believe that this is going to be a GDP. This isn't going to be an initial print. I think it's a revision. So I wouldn't put too much on this because I believe I've already gotten the print. Well, maybe not actually. So historically here we have Q4 and then we have the two Q1 prints. So this might be a fresh print. Maybe chat. Let me know. What do you all think? Is this? No, this is a Q1. So this is going to be Q1. This is the second revision. So we've gotten the initial print here. The initial print that came in much higher than standby. So the previous was 3.4. Okay, so it came in cold. So the GDP print, we want to go higher generally. But ultimately here, I'm gonna go ahead and put a flag on the play. This GDP print is not going to be all that important, but that is going to be coming out Thursday. Let me know if you disagree. This is just a second revision. I just feel like this isn't going to be all that. It's just going to be, the consensus is 1.4, forecast 1.6. If the revision comes up higher or lower, I just don't see the market really doing too much to really react to that because it's a second revision, right? So moving along here, Friday will be a much bigger day, and that is this week. Core PCE price index month over month. This is going to be an important inflation metric that is going to signal to the Fed, which will be going and making a decision very soon, actually Wednesday, June 12th. So that's just a couple of weeks away. that'll be the first day that I'm back from my honeymoon. So I'm kind of wondering if I'll be able to stream for that. But that is going to be the Fed decision here, Fed interest rate decision on Wednesday, June 12th. So going back to the chart here, consolidation is going to be the name of the game, potentially into that data print Friday for PCE, and then June 12th is when we get the next Fed decision. Now Tshroom, the Fed does not steer Bitcoin. Nobody steers Bitcoin. Yes, you're right. But the Fed does steer Wall Street. It does still absolutely steer, the fiat system and the bond markets, and in consequence, it can kind of control, it controls the liquidity, the macro liquidity environment for the U.S. stock market and subsequently the European and other stock markets as well. Liquidity in general. So, though it does not control Bitcoin, nothing controls Bitcoin. However, the Bitcoin's price tends to go up when there's more liquidity, right? So the closer we can get to a cut, the more indicators that would say cut is coming, right? The more bullish potentially things could become. We see that with the stock market. We see that with Bitcoin. So overall here, bros, we're going to either need to get an event that is crypto specific, that comes from internal to crypto, or it's going to be economic data like the PCE print that's coming out Friday, or it's going to be this Fed decision. Okay, so that's really what traders, what investors have their eye on, and so should you, right? Because I think from here, Bitcoin at least is more than likely just going to probably test back lower to this bottom level of this uptrending line of support, and it's going to get good support, and then it's going to come back up, and weeks later, or at least by Friday, there probably won't be a decision made. Now, based on how that print comes out, is whether or not we're going to break to the upside or the downside. I would not be surprised for either. I think at this point, either makes a lot of sense. I think Bitcoin, though, has failed to put in a new high, to put in a higher high, I should say, from this high back in April 8th. This high back in April 8th wicked up to 72.6. This recent high only wicked up to 71.9. That is a lower high, right? So that's, in my opinion, maybe a big piece of the ingredient, right? A big variable that would actually have us test lower and then break out of this uptrending line of support to the downside, right? Tshroom, why are you so bearish? I'm not bearish. I hold to that. What I just said, I have like a low level of confidence, but that's kind of my bias here, is that Bitcoin wants to come back and test lower levels, right? It's been a little bit. It's been since May 16th that we've come down and tested this level of support here, 64.8. Doesn't mean we have to go down there, right? But I just feel like, especially if we get a PCE print that is unfavorable to markets, right? It's signaling that we're not going to get more liquidity sooner. Then that is going to be a net negative, and that's going to go ahead and bring Bitcoin price lower. Let me know what you think, though. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think in the chat. Am I wrong? Am I wrong on this? And what is the next crypto event that could potentially be bullish? Well, I've got one right up my sleeve, and we've got some in the news. Absolutely, because I come prepared. The biggest bullish event that could happen, that could invalidate Bitcoin just in a natural macroeconomic vacuum, is Ethereum ETFs going live. Now, you might think Ethereum, but that would just take a liquidity from Bitcoin. Perhaps. But we also have a couple of different insights here, and I'll get into the first one now. So today's episode is brought to you all by Arculus Cold Wallets. Now, Arculus Cold Wallets is who we've partnered with, and it's who we tell folks to use when they're looking for cold wallet solutions. So cold wallet is a safe way to store your crypto. If you're storing it on a centralized exchange and you don't have the keys, then it's not your crypto, not your keys, not your crypto. Does that mean you shouldn't store it on a centralized exchange? Well, not necessarily, but cold wallets are categorically, and they would, I believe, to be a superior way to store your crypto. So look into it today, do some research for yourself, but check out the link in the description if you're interested in getting a cold wallet. So Michael Saylor Michael Saylor claims Ethereum ETF approval is good. It's good for Bitcoin. Now, you don't hear Michael Saylor and Ethereum very often in a positive light. So let's take a look at some of the details here from this article. And this is what I'm referring to as a potential crypto native event that could boost Bitcoin to the upside and break out of this downtrending line of resistance. Now, keep in mind, that's what I want to happen. That's what is going to pump my bags, right? But just realistically, I'm also thinking that if the PCE print comes out bad, unfavorable, then we could potentially have a break to the downside, right? That's all that I'm saying about that. But let's get into the details of this article. During an interview with Beagle, the host of Bitcoin Gamblers Anonymous on X, maybe you've heard of the platform X, Saylor latest stance, which marks a significant departure from his previous position on any digital currency other than Bitcoin. He's a maxi, bros. He's a maxi, and it's a particular noteworthy take that he's got here. In response to Saylor's unsuccessful prediction against the approval of spot Ethereum ETFs, a large number of individuals on X trolled him. So, in case you're not tracking, Michael Saylor said, he said this very clearly, that Ethereum would not be approved as a spot ETF. Now, technically, we haven't got those S1 filings approved quite yet, but the ETFs themselves have been approved by the SEC. And with the momentum and the names behind this movement, such as BlackRock and Fidelity and VanEck, it's all but a certainty. So now it seems as though Michael Saylor, the king of the maxis, if you will, the Bitcoin maxis, seems to be kind of pivoting here and remessaging. And look, at the end of the day, I'm a huge Michael Saylor fan, always will be. But you know, it's interesting to kind of see him have a little bit more generosity to Ethereum now that it's proven him wrong. This is beneficial for Bitcoin when we have the backing of an entire cryptocurrency business. We gain a lot more power. Ethereum has a large user base, offers an additional degree of protection for Bitcoin. In addition to this, he suggests that standard investors might start to see cryptocurrency as a genuine asset class. So I think this is the most important part here, is the branding for cryptocurrency in general, right? It's one small step for Ethereum, one giant leap for crypto. I like that. As a result, it has the potential to fuel an allocation of between 5 and 10% of their portfolios to cryptocurrency. A large portion of this, perhaps between 60 and 70%, will go to Bitcoin. The current market dynamics serve as a foundation for Michael Saylor's estimates regarding asset allocation for the company. So I don't think Saylor himself or MicroStrategies are going to be buying any Ethereum anytime soon. But the point that he's making here is that the markets in general, whether that be American institutional traders or whoever, are seeing this passage of the ETF of the Ethereum ETF. They're hearing Trump be very pro crypto. They're hearing RFK be very pro crypto. They're also seeing Biden pivot quite quickly. They're also seeing the U.S. House of Representatives pass 2 pro crypto bills in the same week as Ethereum ETF being approved. And Saylor's sitting here thinking this is all great for the cryptocurrency brand, of which Bitcoin is the leader. So call it a pivot, call it, a bit of spin for Michael Saylor. But at the end of the day, I'm still a huge fan of him, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. Saylor continues by saying, I believe that this will serve as a strong marketing boost and accelerate the adoption of technology by institutions. We need to rethink our models in order to align them with this changing landscape. The speaker said, this is a new era. So there you go. You got to love it. I mean, guys, I cannot be any more bullish. Now, Tshroom, you just said that we might break to the downside. I'm in the short term, I'm realistic about technical analysis. That's different from being bullish, right? All back here, I was extremely bullish. Even back here, this is when I was buying a lot of crypto, right? Because prices were low, right? You buy low, you sell high. But all through here, I was extremely bullish because I was seeing extremely bullish headlines. Wisconsin pension fund buys Bitcoin. ETFs. Whoa. And price didn't go up. That's okay. Because I know that at the end of the day, the macro liquidity environment matters. And then we get that positive CPI print somewhere in here, and then it boosts to the upside, right? So all of those bullish headlines, they still matter, even if price doesn't go up the same day. Ethereum just had a spot ETF approved. They didn't go up the same day, right? You have to be patient because that macro environment seems to be the trigger point for all the bullish pressure that has been building up. And bros, it's been mostly bullish pressure. We're going to hear from someone who's too bullish, and then I'm going to deliver some alpha to you all on the other side of this Argentina story. Argentina explores Bitcoin collaboration with El Salvador to boost crypto adoption. Now, there's a little bit of context here to be aware of. Basically, Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador, is the foremost national proponent of Bitcoin. He has led his country to a really good chance at prosperity through making Bitcoin legal tender and also doing a lot of tough on crime policy over there in El Salvador. So Nayib Bukele, El Salvador, very pro-Bitcoin. Argentina, with their president, their freshly minted Libertarian Party president, also pro-Bitcoin, but has not made Bitcoin legal tender. So let's take a look at maybe some developments that have been happening in the direction of making Bitcoin legal tender. High-ranking CNV, these are Argentine officials, including President Roberto Silva and Vice President Patricia Buendo, visited El Salvador. The president highlighted Argentina's proactive stance in learning and praised El Salvador's progress in forming cooperative agreements. El Salvador has emerged as a leading country in the use of Bitcoin and broader world of crypto assets. We want to strengthen ties with El Salvador. We will explore signing collaboration agreements with their government, Silva stated. The CNV's efforts could relieve Argentina's Bitcoin community. Despite President Javier Milei's pro-Bitcoin stance, Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina, faces pressure from the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, to regulate crypto exchanges. So this seems to be like a small step that the media has been able to get their hands on that ultimately does not lead to any action here at all, I would say. However, the fact that they're meeting shows that there's positive momentum towards bullish catalysts for Bitcoin, bullish catalysts for your bags, as these heavyweights, you could say, of South America, and the positive future for South American countries, such as El Salvador and Argentina, kind of lay in the balance. Will Bitcoin be the hero to try to save, these high inflation rate countries like Argentina, maybe even Turkey as well later on? That's not being reported on today. But either way, these are very, very bullish headlines. They're not going to translate into the charts today, right? Like we said, but they will contribute to the higher high that we will see when there is that macro liquidity trigger point to the upside. Well, speaking of being too bullish, now we get to the story where potentially we have been too bullish. Treetop Music saying, Javier, yes, he's a big, big guy. We love him. Afuera is kind of his big claim to fame soundbite there. LOL, so much sideways action. Yes, we're seeing a lot of sideways action. It's better than downward action, I would say. It's going to help the overall crypto market because now governments are able to race to have more influence than drug lords. Absolutely. 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 Let's see what else we got. Snap your vet for Trump for 5 months. Snap your vet. I don't know what that means. Let's see. Eddie PT usually has something good to say. He said, but this crypto market is a little stupid. Usually nice projects lose to the hype of meme coins and pumps, LOL. Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts. Because remember, the folks pumping meme coins are strategically front-running these little micro phenomenons in crypto. It doesn't mean that for the long haul they're going to be invested in memes, especially not new ones, I would say. That's kind of my prediction, is that at some point, all of this liquidity that's kind of bubbled up and just kind of frothy in the meme coin sector is going to say, okay, now we're going to rotate into Chainlink, into Solana, into Cardano, into Bitcoin, into Ethereum, and into other valuable coins, and maybe even some newer ones like ICP, or maybe Jasmy. I mean, Jasmy's getting a pump today. I personally don't have a lot of thoughts on Jasmy, but it's doing pretty well today. Like Core, like Ondo, like Pendle, right? All of these coins are going to, in my opinion, get heavy rotation out of meme coins and into value. Let's see what we got here going on. Eddie PT got another one here. Hey, hello, guys. Tshroom, I have a cool video idea for you guys. Can you make a video as the possible next commodities blockchain that complies with FIT21 bill. That's interesting. What coin is going to be most benefited from the bill? That's an interesting thought. Let's chat more on that in the Discord for sure. Drew P said, it'll be the shape of a poorly drawn bicep. Okay. Not sure what that one is. SEC is out of the way, clear skies. Yeah, that's definitely true. It seems bring the boat back. Dang, I took nice profit on Trump at $10.70. Then it keeps going up. Yeah, those meme coins, they do keep going up. They do keep going up. I'm holding to my conviction that owning high-value utility coins is going to be the way to go. Hey, Tshroom, hope the wedding is great. Have Discord giveaway winners been announced? No, they have not. We more than likely will be doing that on the 3 p.m. stream today. Great question. There's a lot of responses. A lot of responses saying ADA is the hot girl. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. If you don't, that's okay. Go watch the Saturday stream. But the announcement has not been made for the winner quite yet. Sup, bro? I'm looking for 67,500 for a long entry. Let's take a look at that really quick. 67,500. I'm on the 4-hour chart. That's a pretty good time frame. 67,500. Let me just make some stray marks on here on the chart. That'll be helpful, right? All right, 67,500. So the first thing that come into my mind is like how often has that been a line of support? So 67,500 would be quite a bit lower from where we are now. Let's see, from live price, 67.5 would be just under 2%. So yeah, for a trade, I don't think that's bad. I mean, we have some strong support back here. Not strong, I wouldn't say actually. But it was a point of resistance, 67.3 right here during this consolidation. I remember this pretty well. And then you also had back here 67.2, just a bit lower was that wick high back here in April 23rd when we came all the way back from 60,000 back up and then all the way back down and pushed lower. And we're not in those doldrums anymore. Could we get back down there? It would take an event, in my opinion. I think that there's too much bullish momentum to get really much lower than this strong support here at 64,800. So not a bad entry point there. Let's go ahead and jump into this story that I think is just too bullish. $100 million per Bitcoin. Once we move past the fear and government banning you-know-what Bitcoin and are comfortable calling it a weapon, defense system, the Second Amendment will come into play. But the real excitement begins when everyone simultaneously realizes its importance for national security. Think $100 million per coin. Now, who is this? Who is this madman who has said these things? It is Jason Lowery. So Jason Lowery's been somewhat quiet, but he wrote a book that got banned, kind of. He wrote a book, and basically the U.S. Armed Forces, it's interesting we're reporting on this on Memorial Day, but the U.S. Armed Forces told him he has to stop printing that book. Now I'm losing, I can't remember the name of the book off the top of my head. Why can I not remember this? But in any case, he essentially has this thesis, Jason Lowery does, that the world powers, think U.S., think China, maybe India and Russia in there as well, the UK, that they are going to, at some point, be in a soft war with each other, that they're going to lay down their weapons, or that conventional warfare is not going to be important, and that they're actually going to be engaging in what is called a soft war. It's a novel theory on power projection and the national strategic significance of Bitcoin. It's a thesis by your boy, Jason Lowery. He's a major in the Space Force. So he's that's a pretty big deal. That's not a, that's a pretty high rank. I don't know the Space Force rankings off the top of my head, but he's a smart guy. And he's also, his Twitter bio, according to his Twitter bio, he's an astronautical engineer, right? So he's not, you can kind of, with a pretty high degree of certainty, say he's not pulling this out of his butt, right? He's got some real brain cells rub together, and he's coming up with some interesting thoughts here. But I do think that with this price prediction, he's a bit too bullish. I really do. I think 100 million in the next 5 years is pretty unlikely. unless the entire world just kind of ends their fiat programs, ends their monetary policy, and just completely kneels to the Bitcoin throne, which is possible. But with Jason Lowery, what he's done here, more than likely, he's done some calculations to arrive at this $100 million per coin price prediction, and it has a lot to do with this theory that most people are not tracking at all, which is essentially kind of what I've said, is that that China and United States will kind of lay down their weapons because there's too much to lose from an infrastructure standpoint by firing weapons at the global scale between the two global hegemons, and they'll go ahead and just duke it out on the blockchain. Now, I wonder what that even looks like, what that even means. And so do you. You probably do. Well, in order to learn more about that, you got to go buy the book Soft War. And unfortunately, it's not in circulation anymore. So when you go buy it on eBay, it's going to be very expensive. No, there's absolutely, I believe, like digital versions of this that you can get your hands on now and learn more about this software theory. In which case, software. I think I might just be realizing that for the first time. But in any case, I do believe that this theory is still game. You can still go, I think that it's still in play, meaning that the possibility of it coming true is still out there. However, I think $100 million Bitcoin is likely not something we're going to see in the next 5 years or even 30 years. I think first we got to get to 1 million. First we got to get to 100,000, right? So that's where I'm at with that. But it doesn't stop there. There's some more bullish things that are going on. Let's take a look. Let's take a listen.
I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA, not driven overseas. I will support the right to self-custody to the nation's 50 million crypto holders. I say this with your vote. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency. I will also...
There you go. So, very bullish. Of course, that's going to be, yet to be determined whether or not this man wins in the United States U.S. presidential election in 2024. But if he does, he's saying all the right things for the crypto community to get amped, to get pumped, to get bullish, but not too bullish. So we'll see. Donald Trump, over the weekend, looks like had a speech in Washington, D.C., where he said some very, very bullish things about crypto, and he's starting to show that he gets it, or at least some of his aides get it. I do take the opinion at this point that he is very aware of the voting constituency that is in crypto. I think a lot of folks in crypto USA do vote, but I also think that he himself is starting to realize, the dynamics, the relationship between the dollar and crypto, and specifically Bitcoin. So we'll see how this plays out. Still a lot of runway until we get to November, until we get to those elections. Really quick, we might as well, while we're here, take a look at the betting odds spread for the U.S. presidential elections. So oh wow, man, these have really widened recently. So Donald Trump has really pulled away here. 2024 U.S. presidential election. So he is currently, goodness gracious, look at that spread. So this has only happened since May 12th. I guess I haven't checked in on these spreads recently. So these are the betting odds. These aren't polls. So he's at 51 and Biden down to 36. I think that might have to do with a decent amount of RFK, maybe doing a lot of. Man, that is incredible. Here, let me go back here as well to see. So when they come up with these betting odds, they're looking at all kinds of like online betting sites. I believe they look at Vegas as well. But Polymarket is saying 51 Trump, 34 Biden, and then all of these are averaging to 51-36. So very interesting there. Of course, Trump at this point, kind of a runaway favorite for the U.S. 2024 elections, but there's a lot of runway. And if we know anything about the U.S. and their elections and our elections, is that you never know. There's always going to be, and that's what, there's a whole month called October. Maybe you've heard of it. And then there's usually an October surprise, right, where folks go ahead and, the electorate becomes very surprised by some event. So we'll see what happens in the last go round. You may remember an event that was unexpected in the last elections. All right, last little bit of alpha here. Uniswap has another governance vote coming up. This one's really interesting. Uniswap Foundation reveals assets and fund usage ahead of the fee switch vote. So I'll cut to the chase here. The fee switch is in May 31st, so at the end of this week. If the May 31st vote ends up with a different outcome, fees won't be turned on immediately. So you'll definitely want to go and look into this one. I picked up some Uniswap on the day that Ethereum's ETF was approved. I'm not going to get into the details here about all the fees and the governance that's being proposed to be changed, because not enough of you are invested in Uniswap or care at that level of depth. To put it simply, last time Uniswap had a governance vote, it was very, very bullish. It's definitely not guaranteed that A, the vote will pass, or that B, the same bullish outcome will happen. But this was the chart. Last time there was a governance vote, Uniswap did very, very well. 140% trough to wick. I don't know that it'll do that well again. It might, though. That's why I'm bringing it to your attention. Trough to candle close on the 4-hour, 130% to the upside. So very, very bullish. Of course, Ethereum has been a bullish. The passage of the Ethereum ETF has been a bullish catalyst for Uniswap and other Ethereum ecosystem coins. You can see higher low, higher low. Very nice to see these higher lows. So can Uniswap do it again? So far, the answer is yes. Whoa, that is pith, which is looking like more of a buy than a sell at this point. Goodness, this thing is really down. But looking at Uniswap here, it's already making higher highs now, and also looks like it could be finding support here on the 4-hour midline of the Bollinger Band. Well, we've gone way over time here today on the Investing Bros. I've had fun. You've had fun. Bros, we're basically predicting sideways movement here until at the earliest, probably Friday, where we will go ahead and get the PCE print, which I do think will go ahead and cause a breakout to the upside or the downside for Bitcoin. It's kind of in this consolidation phase in what looks to be a symmetrical pennant, but these can break to the upside or the downside. So that'll be something to watch. Definitely going to be interesting to maybe even take a leverage position one way or the other, depending on which way you think it's going to go. Bros, if you're considering doing a little bit of trading on this, go ahead and click the link in our description and set up your BloFin account, which is an excellent way to go ahead and kick off your leverage trading career. And then also check out Arculus Cold Wallet. Their link is in the description as well for a discount for their cold wallet services. Let's do one little round here with the comments, with the chat. El Toro said, I think tonight we know a little more. Okay. It's too juicy of a product, they'll argue. It's a security with that vote, in my opinion. Interesting. So it sounds like you know a lot more about that Uniswap vote than I do. Let's see. Treetop Music said, thank you for not being crypto banter. Okay. You're welcome. Not exactly sure where that compliment's coming from. Fade and Tradfi said, they'll go after Uniswap if they pass that vote. Okay. So that's interesting. I know that Uniswap is already, I believe they received a Wells notice from the SEC. I just wonder how relevant that is now that obviously regulatory clarity momentum has kind of moved out of favor for the SEC. Sinza said, I wish I was. It's been flying. Yeah, I picked up a little bit. I picked up a little Uniswap. I have done well on that. Which is nice. I only know of the month October, Shroomy. Very nice. Well, man, we have so much to be excited about this year. There's so much bullishness in the space. Fade Tradfi said space is fake and we're living in a simulation. So finally, somebody tells us the truth. You had to come here to the Investing Bros to hear it. Kyle Field says the amount of volatility the election is going to cause is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for traders. Agreed. The future President Trump is a smart man, no doubt. I will say, though, that if the betting odds continue to continue to be 51.36, there's not going to be much volatility, I don't think. I think the markets will reprice that over the summer, and then there won't be much of a surprise. I mean, the betting odds are a little different from the polls, in my opinion, because that's people putting their money where their mouth is. The only way that can be inaccurate is if the market is just wildly uneducated, or there's just a giant amount of misinformation. From my perspective, I think Trump takes this one, especially based on the betting odds that I'm seeing. I've been watching those somewhat closely. So anyway, guys, go check out Jason Lowry's thesis if you wanted to do some nerd deeper dives. Go check it out. Soft War. Let me see if I can find the grainiest out of focus picture of this book that I can find. Go check it out. See what you can't understand about it. And he's also done a ton of podcasts too, so you can learn from that. But Jason Lowry, he's the one who said $100 million Bitcoin. Again, I just don't see that anytime soon. But he's a lot smarter of a guy than I am. I will say that, at least in terms of engineering and Space Force stuff. So, all right, bros. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Tim will be live today. There's a chance that I'll join him on the 3 p.m. stream. But I have a lot of wedding planning to do. My wedding is this weekend, and so we're very excited about that. And there's a lot yet to be done. So thank you all so much for joining me on this Memorial Day edition of The Investing Bros. If you're staying hydrated, it must mean you're human. And if you're keeping your stop losses tight, it must mean that you are trading. Have a good one, bros.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. Tshroom's news got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots, stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.